thanks for coming. The idea of the meeting was to just have a kind of a open discussion in preparation for making a budget vote next week and see if we got any signal from anybody that's not happy with the budget or whatever. I mean, none of us are happy that it's as big as it is, but so Tracy and Zeta, I know, are, still on the mission of lowest tax, lower tax rates and all that. We all are, but they're a little more passionate about it than some others. So I don't really know. I want to talk about the stuff we talked about yesterday, Kath. Everybody said that little cheat sheet or something.
Yeah, so I put some things together for you. I was gonna go over just to show you the discretionary, non-discretionary, and then we did do a pie chart, which I think will help you just to show that these are the revenues that we take in.
Green.
The green pension is like 0.2. The state is 62.7%, property taxes is 29%, local receipts is 7.8. So if you look at the school department basically takes all of the state aid plus a part of our property taxes. So
Take some of the property tax, right?
yeah, they do too, because we have to fund the school department, but per net school spending. So we have to fund the school department 669 million, and we only get state aid 617. So the balance of that has to come from property taxes and local receipts. So, and that's, we can't touch. So this really shows like all this, like, this is how much we're required for school, which is what you wanted to see.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure a way to just position it for people so it was easier to understand.
And then I think, and you also said that you wanted to look at that of the budget went up 56 million from 25 to 26. 51 of that we can't touch. We couldn't cut. It's non-discretionary. We had to do that. 51 million.
Can you give an example of what the 51 million?
They're right here. School
On this
department,
side.
school transportation, pension, the pay-go, which is small. And then you have a few small ones, state assessments, parking contract. Debt service actually went down a little. Museum, we have that contract, and benefits. So these are all the non-discretionary, and this is how much they went up, that made up the 51 million. So of the 56 million that went up from 25 to 26, 51 million where there was nothing we could do about. And the other was based on the other 5 million that it went up are all city departments. And 3.2 of the 5.4 are police raises.
So why don't we just go around and let me know if you've heard from any counselors or you have any concerns about how we go about this next week. It's kind of an open discussion. There've been no meetings that I'm aware of. Maybe there's people meeting without me, but there's no meetings that I've been aware of other than the ones Mike set up. I've not met with any counselor. I'm trying to meet with Mike, but he was out of town last week. So
So I actually sent out an email to all department heads today asking if they had heard from any counselors on their budget from the mayor's budget hearings in March until now. And I have gotten no's from everybody. So they haven't heard from directly from any counselors on any questions on their budget, except for in their budget hearing.
yeah, I don't think I've called anybody directly. I asked questions in the budget hearings, but I don't know what to say. I don't know. I don't anticipate that there's this group of people that are going to present something Tuesday night. I don't know, but I just wanted to be able to tell them kind of what Kathy just told me, only she has a good understanding of it. I don't have that good of an understanding of it, but
And I tried to put that together for you, so
Yeah,
if
great.
you read it, if you have any questions or you want to present it differently, we can change that for you.
yeah, no, it's great. So why don't we just go around the room and just say, Jessica, Patrick, and you guys over there, any concerns, what's your biggest issue with going into the budget thing? Are you afraid you're gonna get a lot of questions on tax relief or, you just
No, I
take?
mean, I can start on behalf of the Board of Assessors. So Patrick Greenhall, Chair of the Board of Assessors. No, I mean, any questions are generally fair. What are the tax programs that are available for people? So no, I don't mind those type of questions.
I asked you a question the other day, how many people use these programs? And you said 1,000.
About 1,000, right?
And, is there capacity? Are there more people that are eligible who are not using it?
I can't answer that question.
Is that easy to pursue that information or not?
I wouldn't even know
How to do
where
it?
to start. So we're just trying to educate people to let them know of the programs. So I've done a couple of neighborhood association meetings. I've gone to a couple meetings presented by Councilor Whitfield. It's on the tax bill.
Is she still doing that this year? She did that a year ago.
She did. She set one up this year, but I think we had to cancel because of snow. I went to one with Councilor Gouvan this year.
There was one
So-
this year that she
yeah.
did.
So we're trying.
That's great. Yeah, it's great that they did that. They did it at East Forest Park, I think, last year.
Yes.
Are you there when they
Yeah.
do that? And what comes out of it, just more awareness of everybody.
That's right.
For everybody. Can you break down the 100 or the 1,000 or so people? Can you do it by programs?
Yes.
So who's using what program?
So let's see, we had in this is fiscal 23 data. It was 1,037. Of that, 264 earned a 41C. So that's the $1,000. That's based on age and income. 45 people earned an exemption for blinds. Then 17D, so this is $175 reduction. That's 121 people received that. And veterans about 360 veterans received anywhere from $400 to a full exemption.
And how do you find that out? Is it just
We have to take all the applications
take the application?
and, grant or deny them after reviewing them, and we have to submit that information to the state.
Right, yeah, that works.
So are there 5 programs roughly?
Veterans, blind, 17B, and 41C. Veterans can be multiple categories,
Veterans, blind,
basically over 65 with income and asset restrictions. And then 17D is for someone over the age of 70 with only asset restrictions. We don't look at income there. Those are the tax exemption programs. There's also the circuit breaker.
Yeah.
That is through the state of Massachusetts. And I don't have current data. The state doesn't update this one all that often, but I believe in 21, it was approximately 1,600 people received that. And essentially what that one is it looks at your real estate tax bill, 100% of your real estate tax bill, 50% of your water sewer bill. And if those two bills are greater than 10% of your income, then the state issues you a refundable tax credit. So that's a program that a lot of people don't, that's the one I think we have the most success about educating people about that. And if someone does qualify for it, they can actually go back 3 years and sort of refile their taxes to claim those. I would also note that, that this city council and this mayor, the past couple of years, we've been pretty aggressive at enhancing some of these programs. For example, the 41C, prior to fiscal 23, that used to be, you have to be over the age of 70. And the exemption was $500. So this city council, starting in fiscal 24, lowered the age from 70 to 65 and doubled the exemption amount from 500 to 1,000. City council also adopted a statute that allows us to raise the income threshold by the annual cost of living adjustment as determined by the Commissioner of Revenue for Massachusetts. So essentially that the amount to qualify increases based on the cost of living. We've also this year accepted a statute that allows us to double the exemptions for veterans. So that was part of the HEROES Act. So essentially they were from, we'll say 400 to 1,000. For fiscal 26, it's going to be 800 to 2,000. And then also this year, we're starting the senior work-off program. I think Roy spoke to that last night. So that would be up to $1,000 reduction on real estate taxes based on hours worked for the city.
Oh, that's good.
We also, just to highlight some of these, we've used over 5 years, $28.5 million to reduce the levy, which essentially benefits every single taxpayer in the city of Springfield. It has saved the average taxpayer over 5 years, $430.
And how do we do that?
We use that predominantly by free cash. And then the last 2 years by the interest.
Yield on the T-bills
And
and some free cash.
so when you say reduce the levy, it's the total amount of taxes that were charged during that time. Or what it would have been.
Correct.
If
Right.
we hadn't done that. I
Yes.
guess.
Yes, so the city still needed those funds to operate the budget, but we used free cash to lower what we were collecting as part of the levy. And the last thing I would note is this year, we adopted a local statute that is going to allow a committee to accept donations. Where that stands right now is with the State House, because the city council also voted on a home rule petition to allow the city to appropriate money into this fund, which is not normally allowed. And the mayor committed $1 million last year into this fund. So I know it's scheduled for a hearing through the state. I just don't know the details of that at the moment.
There was talk of energizing one of those. There's 2 like committees that deal with the State House. I don't know what they're called. I'm not on either one. So in addition to what you just said, there was some talk of getting together with the school committee to talk about that transportation and maybe something else in here. Have you had any contact, not recently, but just over time? Is there any interest level in the school department for, reduce moving the transportation?
I wouldn't have any
Have any idea?
knowledge of that.
That would have to be, you'd have to contact, the
Uh,
state would have to change it, and you'd have to, I think what they tried to do is have Springfield considered a regional. And then we would get 25% reimbursement for transportation costs, but that would be the state allowing that. And that was something that Counselor Fenton spoke to. I wasn't here when they tried to do that. He said that was years ago they tried to do that. I don't know what the appetite would be, or I don't even know how far it went when
I
Counselor.
remember the meeting. It was when Eric Lesser was the senator.
Yeah, so I don't know where that went. You might have to check in with Counselor Fenton, because he knew about that.
I think what happened is we had a decent meeting and he had an idea or two. And that's that, I'm not sure it went anywhere. Does anybody have any vested interest in? Like, how does it help the school department if we ask them to come up with money? I mean, no, we're not asking. them to come
I
up with
mean,
money, but-
if we're able to do what I think Counselor Fent was saying is what the state would reimburse us 25% of our transportation costs. The transportation cost is on the city side. So that would help us a lot. If our transportation, what is our transportation cost this year? Like 45 million?
25, yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
50.
Almost 50. So it would, 25% reimbursement, and that is on the city side. That does not count toward net school spending. That's the big thing. It doesn't count toward net school spending.
Can never figure out the logic of why it's on our side. And I also don't know if we changed it, would it matter much,
I mean, the state would have to have an appetite for giving us 25% of the. So
But they
I
do
don't
it
know.
for like regional,
Regional, they do, yes.
Gateway Regional or something like that.
Schools that are regional school districts, yes.
Do you have contact with Pat Roach?
I do talk to them.
No, I don't.
It wouldn't be more of this, it would be the school department could go on it, but it would be more of the city council and the city and the mayor approaching the state, because that is a city cost. It is not a school department cost. But I mean, I could speak to him to see if he's aware of anything or, anywhere in the state, if they've changed that, I can reach out to Pat.
I think he mentioned the cost of hosting homeless students. I don't know what that cost was, but if you're making a pitch for like a regional school
Right.
funding
they're
formula,
required
maybe
to.
it's something like that. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if these words are used anymore, but when I was on the council, there was legislation called McKinney-Vento.
Yes.
That's the thing for the.
That's right.
Yeah.
And those were the two things that we had accountability for.
We have,
Homeless transportation.
yeah, we, wherever they live, we go up and get them and bring them back to school.
Is that still the case?
That's so pleasant.
It's designed to keep consistency in like the student's life, so
Yeah.
at least like school remains consistent.
I think it's in the whole thing with the regionalization is just Springfield, so it wouldn't be Chickpea, West Springfield, et cetera, it'd be just Springfield, that was the region.
Yeah. All right, Steve, any concerns or anything we should be working on?
No, but I got a lot on my plate, so that's good. No, I mean, we've got to do what we can do, but at the same token, this is pretty bare bones budget, and it, as a department head somewhere, there's 3% cuts across the board. And so
Is it what?
3% in personal service,
3%?
OTPS rather, someone made us do it. I suggested that we do it. And so it's bare bones. I mean,
What's the
I don't know,
pressure?
I don't know where else cuts can really take place.
Well, that's what Kathy's been telling me. And when you make cuts, a couple times we've done it in my tenure. And it's ugly, just ugly. It's not, the process is not easy to execute. I mean, the year we did it with a major cut and the mayor threw us under the bus in a minute and a half. And, but we had the votes, we had 10 votes and we cut 2.7 million. And thankfully for Mike, because he's much more detail oriented than me, he went into the budget lines and because you couldn't just say cut 10 people or something. You had to have more detail than that. And he did all that. And the mayor I think we restored $1 million. Do you remember this, Steve, at all?
I remember there was 1 year, I think it was your first year. You went line by line or department by department. That was a very long meeting. And it didn't work for you guys. I mean, It did make sense, so the cuts weren't going through. I know the next year, I believe it was you and Councilor Fenner, came in, and before it went department by department, you went across the board X%, 2%, whatever the case may be. And then that went through, and then there was scrambling, and I remember that mainly because I had health insurance in my budget at the time. That was difficult. But I do remember that.
I mean, America stopped cutting the terraces. That was immediate, so like Hartford Terrace.
I don't know what led up to that part of it.
Well, that was just, it's just giving you a sense of what happened immediately. So we had a meeting or two with them or something. We eventually restored them about $1 million and ended up keeping cutting at 1.7 or something. But it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to find a place to cut. It's not easy to, the mechanics of cutting. Then you gotta go get votes, tell people you're doing it. It's not an easy process to do. And I don't know if anybody's got anything going. You tend to, what happens, and that's why I always landed, like 3 or 4 years ago, I landed on the open recs thing. It just seemed like the no-brainer of a place to cut when you have 100 open recs or something, and you staff, you fund your budget for them, and then you don't hire them. It was hard to, I remember working with TJ on, I said, why don't you just cut some of these? Nobody loses a job. We just lose. And that's what, in effect, what led to me asking you to cut the 15. And so we're gonna do that again next year, right?
Nope. I don't have,
I know,
can't
I
commit
know,
to it.
I know you told
I
me.
mean, I took jobs from small departments, you know, I did take some, you know, from police, they're civilian. But a lot of our open recs are public safety.
Yeah.
The smaller departments are full. They don't, like, we've cut them and they don't have positions. And again, we also increased the lost time, which we increased it to 1.7 million. So I have a negative 1.7 million that I have to offset with vacant positions. So while a position is open, I take that money and I have to zero out that 1.7 million. So I've acknowledged upfront, there will be 1.7 million in savings from open positions at the beginning of the year. So I say that, I know that there's gonna be some savings because staff turnover, it takes them a month or two to fill positions when someone leaves. But what I also don't budget in the budget, because I don't know when people are leaving or retiring, is their payout. So people sick and vacation payout when they retire, I don't build that in departments. So, for example, you know, when you had a staff person leave, we had to pay her out and then they had to wait a certain amount of time. I know Bill Mahoney's department had someone leave who had a lot of time. So he had to wait 4 months before he could post that position because he didn't have the funding.
In the meantime, could he have just taken somebody from another part of his department, put them in that position, or is?
Well, yeah,
That's-
he's doing it. That's what he says. Someone has to do the work until they can fill the position, but there's no way I'm gonna estimate how much do we need for retirements, and you don't know. Some people leave before 80%, some people work over, some people leave for other jobs. Sometimes you pay, if they leave for other jobs, you don't pay out their sick time, just their vacation. So there's no way to estimate it. And I wouldn't put it in the budget because I wouldn't put estimates in the budget. And again, I go back to the fact that I did all the cuts that I could without cutting services. I reduced as many salaries as I could, and I still had a $2 million problem. I couldn't balance, so I had to use 2 million in the pension reserve that you and Pat Burns helped set up. So I didn't know where else to cut. So this is the first, last year this year I had a $2 million problem.
And what will solve that? If we just fund the budget, it'll get solved.
I mean, it's solved because I'm
Solved
using 2 million we had
that
put aside,
pension
we had put aside 19 million. So I'm taking 2, and I have enough to fund that every year until the pension's fully funded, so I can give $2 million going forward, so it isn't considered one-time revenue. But I didn't know what else to cut without affecting services.
You're a CAFO, you know the whole picture.
So, and I'm sure the department heads will tell you, you know, if they're asked by any city councilors.
Yeah, I don't have any inside information for you. I thought we might get some here today, but. So we're just getting it from your side. Okay. Chris, you have any wild and crazy thoughts?
Nope, I think everybody already said it. The one thing I would say is that, you know, we, this year, per your suggestion, brought more involvement for the council, starting with the mayor's budget hearing. So from what was presented in those meetings in March to what's in front of you now was scrubbed down to the bone.
So if they had come to the mayor's budget hearing, anybody, I went to it. It's changed since then.
Oh yeah, substantially. We started with a $24 million gap that we have to get down to 0.
And what does that gap mean? What do you,
That means what we did is we sent out to departments to submit their budgets as level service. It means not level funded from 25, level service. That means they can maintain all the services. So example, if you have like software, like our Munis software, which is our financial software, that goes up 5% every year. So that line item had to go up 5%. So it's level service to maintain. How much does it cost to maintain the services in your department from FY 25 to 26? And then we estimated conservatively the revenues we think we were getting. So we took the revenues we thought we were getting and the department's level service, and we had a $24 million gap. So then we had to start picking away at that. We plugged in all the grants we thought we were gonna get. We relooked at every revenue line item, saw if we could go increase any, and then we went line by line in everyone's budget, did a 3-year analysis of their expenses in that line item to see if we thought we could cut. And then I came down and I still had a $2 million problem.
yeah. That's right. I took care of you a few years ago on this.
Thanks, council.
We used to talk about pension more than we do now. But I know it's still horrendous what you have to put in.
It's a big chunk.
A huge chunk. So what I thought we would do Tuesday, well, I mean, not knowing what anybody, Michael would probably say, does anybody have any cuts or anything they want to bring up? And then, you know, go whatever direction. But I was thinking that I was trying to create a situation where it doesn't look like we're being fat. In other words, we're starting with the 51 or the 56 million and just funding the things that are easy to explain, pension, et cetera, employee benefits. And then go from there. You could present that, Kathy, or who knows if Michael just have somebody speak up right away and make a cut, or I have no idea. But that was the point of this, was to be able to walk people through so that they would understand that there really isn't any place to go.
Well, I'm hoping, I mean, we did the PowerPoint and we gave a copy to everyone, so I'm hoping that they actually people read through the PowerPoint to understand, you know, where the increases were and what is non-discretionary versus discretionary. And like all the departments that we did cut and all that came into negative increases, they didn't increase their budget at all, it went down. So I'm hoping that everyone takes a look at that. Because that PowerPoint really spelled it all out.
Right, yeah, I don't think I have it here.
And what I did on those 2 pages is I just pulled out some information from there, from the PowerPoint, based on our conversation.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's what I was looking for. Well, other departments, so on tomorrow night, we have another group of departments, right?
Mhm.
Do you know who's tomorrow?
The two big ones are DPW and Park. Then you have the council office, the city, your budget, the clerks, the election, mayor,
IT,
IT,
Gladys's shop.
Gladys's departments. But the two big ones are DPW and Park.
And that'll be Chris and Tommy.
Tom, yep.
Tim Sheehan.
Oh, Tim Sheehan shop, Echo Dev.
Oh. Okay. Um. There any other little, basically, when you cut them, or when you found that 13.9 positions. I think you kind of said, you know, the mayor always says, if, you know, if we made $1 million, what would you want to do? Did any of that stuff, you know, it's
Oh, I have a list of all the wish lists. It's not in there.
not, none of it's funded.
I'm trying to make a list and I mean, and figure out, is there some way or some other way we can fund some of these one-time expenses? I'm looking at them to see what are one-time expenses and what are expenses that are gonna continue on and increase the budget next year if we're fund them. So, but no, there's no wish list items in there.
That's the lingo he uses at the budget meeting,
Wish list.
wish list.
Yeah, if you could, and of course everyone had them, but we don't have the money for it right now. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I'm afraid of next year.
Yeah,
So, you know, I was trying to maintain a small increase.
so if we were to, you know, if somebody were to bring up, let's cut something and, you know, and fund, more tax relief. This year, the only tax relief we have is the 2 million.
Correct.
And the mayor in the last 2 or 3 years has added, moved money out.
During the tax and every year
That's
and
at the end
last,
of the year.
that's at the end there during tax, but he has said he'll, just like the commitment he made you last year in the budget hearings, he said he will work with you. He's not going, we don't have the money to, and he's not gonna fund it at the level we have. We've been cutting down. But he will work with you and he made that commitment last year and I'm sure you'll hear him making that again. I mean, he has to answer for increased taxes also.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I've been in there with him, with Pat or you, or the last couple of years, and had a shot at making a case for more. And we were halfway successful. We got another million or something, but. We need 7 votes for the budget, right? Not a 9 vote. Okay, well, I don't necessarily have any other nuggets. This is good to just have a little discussion about it, but. I imagine that, I'll certainly talk to Mike before Tuesday. I can't guarantee I'll talk to anybody else, but I mean, in the past, I've called everybody, particularly when I had suggestions. I don't really have a suggestion this year. But I, you know, would call everybody and say, you ready, you coming, what, you have anything in mind? I don't know if I'll do that or not. I'm thinking about that. But it is kind of like, people are unresponsive pretty much so far. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I don't like to use that word in public, but I don't know. All right,
I can't read I'm assuming it's just the three. I don't know if there's anyone else.
Counselor Santinella was on there, but he's not on
I don't know
anymore.
if you had any questions, but if he's out, okay.
So there's no
It's
one,
just Lindsay and us.
it's just us.
he was there before.
Brian was, yeah.
Yeah, for a little.
He wasn't at the meeting last night.
No, it was not.
He was remote.
He wasn't even remote last night.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, he was.
I don't know if he was there every time that we called for him, but he was there. Well, I don't need to prolong this. I'll look over I'll look over this. I'll look over this. We'll see you tomorrow at 5,
Yep.
at 5 tomorrow.
Yep. 5 to 6:30, right? Yeah, more hearings. So and if you have questions, reach out to any of us. Or if you hear any questions from other counselors.
Yeah, I mean, the real question is if somebody really wants to be aggressive about tax relief, as you said, I don't have any other place to cut, so the council has the power to, if we have the votes and all that works out, we can cut and have you try to figure it out. But I mean, I just would ask if they're gonna cut a department head's budget, that they let the department head come up and tell you what the impact could be. So, because at Tuesday night, all the department heads should be there. For the vote. For the, all they'll all be there. It's the Broadway play. Right, any questions, anything? Appreciate you coming. I thought we'd have Tracy and Zeta, but apparently they called today and couldn't come. So we'll make the most of it. It was at 25, it's not too bad.
Do you want to end the meeting, Counselor?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah, what am I supposed to do?
just say.
This is the end of the finance committee of May
20th.
20th, 2025.